This is the name of the show. Okay, good.
Training, learning, development chat. Training, learning, development chat. Training, learning, development chat. Welcome to TLDC. TLDC. Training, learning, development chat. How going like you know where it's at? It's training, learning, development chat. Video Friday. Video Friday. And you know what that means. TLDC, TLDC,
Hey everybody, welcome to Video Friday. And yes, Sam, I am going to play that every Friday until you get me a new one. I love it though. It's a fantastic song. You kill it every single time. Unbelievable. Well, welcome to Video Friday, everybody. I can't even begin to tell y'all how psyched I am to be here today, because I've missed you guys all week long. I was at the Burson event, Burson Impact HR in Florida all week, Monday through Wednesday at least, but got stuck in Houston on a layover that didn't quite make the next flight because of weather out of Florida. You know how that goes. But finally made it home yesterday, and all is right with the world. But anyways, welcome TLDChat. We are the training, learning, and development community. We are the Training, Learning, and Development Chat, and we are the Training, Learning, and Development Conference, a collection of professionals, anybody that's out there doing the work of training or learning and development. You don't have to have any of the titles. You could be in HR. You could be a product manager that needs to get some training done. We know there are lots of folks in the industry doing the work of training that could use some help here and there and need to learn from those who have been in the industry for a really long time. So we are the community that's here for you. We're here to make your lives easier, better, make you better, stronger, faster at the work that you do in training and learning and development. So we're here every single day, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And of course, for everybody across the pond, about 4 p.m. UK time, and however else that works in other time zones. So we also have a fantastic event coming up, not a huge event like you may be used to, or like maybe ATD ICE, which some of you I know have been at, which was fantastic. But we're going to do a little event here in Phoenix, Arizona, but in January, when it is the most beautiful here in my lovely hometown. So we're looking forward to that, January 29th and 30th in Phoenix, Arizona at the Galvanize location. So it will be fantastic. I can guarantee you that. So lots more information coming about that over some time. And without any further ado, let me be sure to introduce to you and let you know who our guest is going to be today. Our guest is Hans de Graf, and I probably should have asked the most proper way to pronounce it, but Hans, maybe you can help me out in that aspect. How you doing this morning?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. At least here it's 5 o'clock. It's already weekend.
In Dutch, 5 o'clock. Okay.
In plain Dutch, I would say Hans de Graf.
Hans de Graf.
De Graf.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. I'm used to it.
Okay. Yeah, me and my U.S. accent can't quite get that just right, but I'll try to roll my R's a little better and see if I can get that.
Yeah. Are you in for a funny story?
Oh, excellent.
Because there's one kind of a word you guys can't pronounce at all. It's a Dutch city called Scheveningen. Can you try that? Scheveningen. Back home altogether, Scheveningen.
Scheveningen.
Germans couldn't pronounce that either, so the Dutch resistance used this word to identify if people were spies from Germany. So they said to each other, Scheveningen.
Nice.
And then they could hear right away if someone wasn't originally Dutch.
Nice. So how do you spell it? I'm afraid to ask, but how do you spell it?
So it's Scheveningen.
Okay.
But the SCH, we say school, school. Schoenen, shoes. Dus that.
Gotcha. Okay. Nice. I love it. I love it. I love the different languages around. It's fantastic. I'm going to try and see if I can get Sam in here. Sam, you're up for jumping in today on Video Friday, right? Because I know you've actually seen Hans speak at some different events, and you know Hans, so always happy to get a second opinion. Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Hello, good morning. Going good. I have met Hans certainly at several different events, but I have no idea how to pronounce that word. It was beautiful though. It was just nothing says Dutch, I guess, better than Scheveningen.
Scheveningen.
Yes.
Hey, good effort. That was better than my try.
Yeah, the beatbox advantage, I guess, maybe.
Oh, maybe that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to bring Hans on to talk a little bit more about. I know he's going in a different direction more these days with speaking, but he's done a lot of work around some of the science behind video and how we react to it, specifically from the more brain perspective of what it is that's drawing our attention and what it is that engages us. And we haven't really had that perspective yet. We tried to book Hans back on L&D Talk last year, actually, and have been rescheduling and working around things ever since. So it's finally victory that we're here together today. And Hans, I'd love to hear you describe a little bit about your work in that area with HeHaHo or any of the studies you've been involved with.
My nickname is the Brain Tweaker. I'm so enthusiastic to talk about everything that's involved with, well, the human brain. And when it comes to learning, video, because it's visual, of course, is a very organic way to deliver content, basically.
Right.
But I think it's important that you have some brain knowledge when you're making videos. Shall I lecture a little bit?
Sure, you're welcome to.
Yes, please do. Yeah, give us the high level overview of how we can do that, and then we'll dive deeper into a couple of them. How about that?
Well, let's first of all, your visual system is intended to keep you alive. So visuals coming in through your eyes and reaching your brain are analyzed, from the moment you open your eyes in the morning until you open your eyes or close your eyes at night. It's constantly watching for danger. So safety is very important for learning, because when there's no safety, well, no learning can take place. But your system, it's said that your brain can handle 11 million bits per second. And 10 million bits of those 11 million are from your visual system. And that visual is coming through all kinds of funnels and filters. And in the end, what do you think? How many bits reach your forehead, your consciousness from that 11 million bits? Just
all the best
50.
ones.
50.
Just
50.
Oh my God.
Just 50.
Huh.
And all of the time, two systems are operating, and it's called the what system and the where system. So it's identifying in that whole field you have what objects are there and in what direction are they going. Because, once again, your brain wants to keep you alive. And because of that, it's constantly looking for danger. And your attention, when it comes to learning, well, you have to pay attention, right, is only the middle 2 degrees of your vision. That's where your attention is headed. And what does that mean for videos? Well, when you have a video with a moving background, for example, you have on TV an interview and all kind of people are putting funny faces in the background. Well, where does your attention go?
Right.
Attention goes to movement. And the interesting thing is you can use that in your video to use movement to get the attention. But when you have movement that distracts the viewer, well, basically no learning is going on. So your brain needs safety. It's directed by movement. And the interesting thing is another thing, that for understanding, color doesn't add much. There are some amazing videos on YouTube. I can send you some URLs later, but that are instruction videos from around 1945 from American motor companies. They're all in black and white, but for understanding, you don't need color. So in your video, use color specifically for highlighting important things.
And is that why your website is in black and white mostly, Hans?
Well, this is my old website. Come back again in a few weeks.
It's old. It's before there was color on websites.
Blue and pink. No, it's for the environment. I told Brent earlier on. When you print my website now, you have to refill your black cartridge in the printer. So I got a few complaints about that. So
go black and white only. So great. So we've got safety that the brain needs for video, and color is not necessary. What else?
Well, your brain is constantly watching for what's in it for me. What's the value in, well, this video, and what's the value in this video compared to all those millions of other videos around out there. So I think it's really important that you answer the question, what's in it for me, directly at the beginning of your video. So not a 30 seconds intro, blah, 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 blah. Welcome to part 5 of a 6 video series on the topic of blah, 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 blah. Yeah,
and the learning objectives, don't forget to put those on bullet points at the beginning.
You want to know, because otherwise we are going to search for it. We click somewhere in the video, and then when that question isn't answered fast enough and good enough, then, well, basically we're not interesting anymore because we see no value. Another thing nowadays is, I would say, put one topic in one video. So one topic, one video. And I make a comparison to PowerPoint presentations now. Sometimes you have a slide, and I'm not only talking about bullet point filled slides, but when you have a slide in a presentation and it says 3 or 4 things, then for you as a listener, it's very hard to determine what is the most important thing. So basically, you want in a slide, you want to give a signal that's so sharp compared to the noise of all the other things. When you have more spikes of information in your slide, it's very hard to discriminate what's important, what should I remember. So when you translate that to videos, instead of, and I'm talking really old-fashioned now, but instead of making a 30-minute video, maybe it's better to make 15 2-minute videos or 13 31-minute videos. And later on, with interactive tools, for example, or playlist, connect them. Then in the end, you have your 30 minutes of content again, but video, one topic. Because, and that's interesting, in my presentations, I have a slide where I have some text on the slide, and at the same time, I play a sound fragment of another speaker, and my assignment to the audience is try to listen and to read, well, both. Until now, nobody ever raised his hand when I asked one, was someone in the audience able to do that? So your brain, at least your conscious brain, can only do one thing at a time. And about listening and text in general, maybe you have heard about the dual channel system in your brain, the image stream and the audio stream. But when it comes to text, something strange happens. Maybe you have some text around you. When you read some text, what basically happens, you see pictures. So your first thought would be, well, that's a visual process. But basically you are reading to yourself. And, well, Sam, Brent, do you hear an inner voice when you read?
Yes, my inner voice sounds like this whenever it reads anything. But after a while, you get used to it.
Once again, your conscious brain can only do one thing good at a time. So when you read, you are using your visual system. And because it translates to your inner voice, it also uses your audio system in your brains. And that's why you can't do it together. So it doesn't work in presentations, so it doesn't work in your next video. So when you have to use text, be silent, then people can read. So that's one thing they can do at the same time. Or just use short, well, keywords, basically.
So this is an interesting conversation to be having in a platform like Crowdcast, where we have text going on one side and our conversation in video.
yeah, it is, and it's a great example of the tension between those two. So Hans, just to clarify a little bit, are you talking about it's like not being possible, or what is it that would describe the behavior that's going on right now? Is it just suboptimal from a learning perspective, or is there like a rapid channel switching that's happening in the brain? What is it that you would describe?
Because of the what Brent said, I put an eye on the text stream. I see someone, Anthony. That's not entirely true. The human mind.
Yes, Anthony likes to be contrarian, so you'll hear.
Let me be clear. We are all multitaskers. Your brain lets you breathe, lets your heart beating. It's putting up emotions. It's watching the environment all the time. When I talk about the simplification, your brain can only do one thing at a time. Then I'm talking about where you can have only one attention point, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read, I think his name was James Williams, some guy from the 18th century. And he said, well, attention is basically shutting off other things.
Mm.
And many times it seems that we can multitask with all our smartphones and Facebooks and messages and that kind of things. But in reality, I've read an article, they are called super taskers. It's only 3% of the population, the people that actually can multitask. And I'm sorry to say, I'm not one of them.
Well, we won't ask you to look at the chat the whole time. It's okay.
But let's go on a different angle, and then ending on the same topic. Basically, it's about relevance, because when you look at learning, learning is connecting new knowledge to things in your mind, mental models you already have. And I was talking about the what's in it for me. And basically that's the same question as relevance. And what I want to refer to now is the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You all you all know that, right?
Yes.
I'm always surprised when I give a live speech that how many people are not familiar with Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. So I'm going to lecture a little bit again. Herman Ebbinghaus was a Dutch, well, let's say scientist.
Oh, was he Dutch? No wonder you have to.
Did I say Dutch? No, German. German.
Okay.
No, German scientist, Herman Ebbinghaus. And he found out that people forget what they've learned very fast. And in a one-liner, after one day, you've forgotten around 70%. And after 20 minutes after this, you've already forgotten around 40%. But that's not the whole story. Because what Mr. Ebbinghaus did, he had made up 2,300 words that didn't exist. So nonsense words. Is that good English?
Yes.
Nonsense words? Okay. And what he did, he memorized them, and then on certain time frames, he tested himself, and, well, as a scientist, he documented that. And that's where the one-liner, people forget 70% of what they've learned after one day. And 90% around after 1 month. So basically that means that you throw away your learning and development money for 90%. But that's not the whole story. Because it were nonsense words. And they were not relevant for him, for his work, for his life. It was just a scientific project. And I always think of the poor Mrs. Ebbinghaus when he was studying that nonsense words. Now to corporate learning in 2017. Especially you in the America, even more than we have in Europe, are all that compliance courses. And maybe I'm biased on this one, but all that compliance courses, they have a certain characteristic that people do not really want to do it. Basically, they don't see the what's in it for me. And
I think we all have this in common, yes.
And let me give one example. Let's say you have to make a safety course that people have to wear their safety boots and their safety helmet. Of course, you can make a course and a video with text and bullet points and every kind that you say will conform article blah, blah, blah from the Huppel-de-Puppel law. It is, you are obligated, is that good? To wear a helmet in these situations.
Yep.
But when it comes to the what's in it for me, well, people are taking a compliance course. But the what's in it for me is maybe that you start a video with a shot of a widow or a woman starting to talk about her husband in the wheelchair because he didn't wear his safety shoes. And then all of a sudden, it becomes relevant. And you've added a story, you've added emotion.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Sam and Brent? Could it work?
Yeah, and certainly we've had plenty of other folks come on and talk about the values of stories and how it is that we engage with story and how that helps us tell a story where we can see ourselves in it and makes it much more relevant for us. My own experience in trying to actually do that with compliance training has been less than successful, specifically for safety courses, which you mentioned. I remember working for a hospital and trying to come up with stories at the beginning rather than policies at the beginning. And it was very difficult to get approval for all of that
Yeah.
And I don't quite know what the answer is to that equation. I know the EU, you're coming up with many compliance courses these days as well and trying to catch up to us. Hopefully you'll have some better luck.
Yeah. But let's talk about something different. Computer security.
Sure.
You can make a course with all kinds of rules. You have to do this and you have to don't to do that. Once again, why don't start your course or your video with someone checking in online in his bank account and seeing that instead of $5,000 to spend, it says minus 5,000.
That's not a good day.
This can happen to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pay attention to my course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes people start to look past that kind of stuff, though, even when it's really scary. I think it has an effect to a certain point, but people get numb to it after a while because they start to see it so much.
Yeah.
I can remember the first time I saw emotional storytelling, put into training was, oh boy, a long time ago, before everything was digital. There was, instead of doing a course, a safety course for why you should do certain things on airlines, they did a video of what happens, and it was all animated, and it was CG, because they couldn't crash a real plane and everything. But the way they told the story and the way that they edited it, and with the intensity of the music and the issue that was going on, it was quite. It was like watching a horror movie kind of, and it was hard to look away, hard to keep your head off of it. And then it just sort of ends right at the most intense part, and you're just left sort of wondering. And then they go into, the things that you already know that they did wrong or that you shouldn't do, but it's almost seared into your brain because it was so intense.
Yeah. In my last presentation, it was called the 30 Video Learning Principles. My statement is relevancy beats everything. Of course, we can talk about lightning, about audio, very important. Let me be clear about that. But relevancy beats all technical things.
I think sometimes, let me help with the words for some of the folks in the chat too. So we talk a lot about context versus content, and I think relevance applies the same way. Would you agree, Sam? So context and relevance in how we're talking about it here work as synonymously?
I don't know about synonymously. I think that's great to bring into the discussion, though. Certainly, the relevance I think that Hans is speaking to there's commonality that as a target audience, as a set of learners, there's commonality to be found there. But relevance ultimately is a much more individualized experience. Whereas something like setting the context is more of a group experience.
Gotcha. Yeah. I would agree.
Hans is speaking to is like a more specific version of it.
Okay, so as far as relevance is concerned, because I'm still struggling in my own mind thinking about how it is that we can have this video conversation and still review the chat at the same time and still stay engaged if we can't switch like that. And I think relevance is the key, because I do find that if somebody in the chat is commenting specifically about something we're talking about, it's very easy to go back and forth. But if I see somebody way off track saying things and I get kind of distracted by a keyword or something, it's almost, in a very short period of time, it's kind of jarring to take your mind into a totally different topic that has no relevance and then try to bring your mind back to the video and to the conversation at hand. Is that more kind of along the lines of what you're talking about as far as difficulty in doing that sort of task switching regarding relevance? Because it seems easier when the text is relevant to what we're talking about. It's easy to switch.
Well, the word focus, when someone is focused, or let's use another word. We want to engage our learners, and when it comes to video, we want to engage our viewers. How can you see what characteristic does someone have or show when he's engaged. Think about that for a minute. I've asked that to audience, but people are focused. They don't have attention for things going on around them. They have to go to the bathroom, but it's so interesting they don't go. For example. So I take courses from now I don't know the name of the company. You always see those ads in American magazines. Home Academy? No. I'll come to that later. But those are lectures, 24 lectures, for example, of half an hour. And I show them to some people. They are really boring. Except when you're interested in the brain, like me, then that focus is going to happen. Because it's relevant, it's interesting, it's exactly what I'm looking for. Shall I make a connection back to Ebbinghaus? Because those figures I mentioned, 70% after one day, they are for non-relevant information. So your non-relevant compliance course maybe. So make it relevant. And when you do that, people still forget a lot. Let's be clear, but it's not so steep, the curve, as Mr. Ebbinghaus presented it. And what we did in the Netherlands, and I have a link already typed in, so people can show the video I'm talking about now later on. But in the Netherlands, we had a project with a Dutch retailer basically selling shoots and some sport articles. And we did a project with them, and in our first pilot, we had 11 stores. I'm going to tell you about that. 11 stores were trained with what I call an old-fashioned e-learning, made with Articulate products, half an hour, slide-based e-learning. And then in the second phase, there was a face-to-face training. And to be more specific, what we did is selective coaching. So it was face-to-face and also phone calls, but not the entire population of the stores, but only key persons like the store manager and some influencers. And what we did then, we sent them a video every week. And that video has basically 4 components. It starts with a wrap-up of some theory, some learning objective from the e-learning course. Then there was a scenario, and the video was interactive, so they had to answer questions or make choices to go through the case. Then the third thing was a wrap-up of the scenario, which was basically another repetition of the content. And then finally, a call to action. So for example, in a video about greeting the customer, and in this particular video, I remember they were trained to give the customer some time to get to pick up the atmosphere. So when you go too early to a customer, he may be threatened or feel threatened. And when you wait too long, the customer is going to think, didn't they notice me? I have a question, but nobody's coming. So I think they thought 45 seconds or around that is the sweet spot. So there was a scenario on that one in the video, and then in the end there was a call to action. So this week, let's try everybody to greet the customer as you've just learned. We had 11 stores, and each store was connected to a store with the same square meters or square feet, you say, with the same volume of sales, the same revenue, and the same competitors in the neighborhood. What happened was in a 6-period trial, there was a 6.5, if I'm correct, increase in sales from our stores compared to the stores, the 11 other stores, where they were trained as they always did. And then we started investigating the case, because what happened, the 6.5% was on average, but 3 stores were performing lousy. They were very bad, and 1 was moderate. And we discovered that the role of the store manager was crucial. When you have a store manager with private problems, or with, let's say, well, that's a project from head office, I've seen them come and go, and this is just another project,
Right.
Why bother?
Right.
That didn't work. So there was a second pilot, now with 50 stores, same principle, and now we got around double digit, around 15% increase in sales compared to old-fashioned trained stores. And the interesting thing was that despite being less customers in the store, each customer spent more. So in a retail, they can track and everything. So they know there are less people in the store, but they spend more. And in the end, sales went up around 15%. And I'm going to put enter now. This is, wait a minute. It's a short URL, 12.inc/5.
Yeah, but type that in there. Yeah, so let me see if I can find it.
URL to video. I see now. I have my eyes on the text. Mark is saying biased. How can you be biased with figures coming out of the cash register from a retail store?
Oh, great! So I've got.
Of course, I'm biased. I'm the first one to acknowledge that I'm biased, just as all of us watching.
Everybody does, right? Hey, I missed my 30-minute mark where I normally stop for a second and give my guests the chance to catch up on the chat. So let me do that right now. And when we come back, we can maybe watch the video a little bit. I found it on I found it online here real quick. But before I run out of time, I just wanted to do this. And what happened to this? I just wanted to tell everybody again, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Thanks for hanging out on Video Friday and talking about the brain and how the brain can connect with the video work and the things that we do. I forgot to give a shout out to TechSmith this morning when I first opened up, and so I wanted to just be sure to give TechSmith a big shout out in here, because they have been a fantastic supporter of TLDC in all of its many formats, and we really, really appreciate what they do for us. We are working on a couple more giveaways coming up very soon. So if you were not one of the lucky winners of Camtasia early on, you will have another chance. Also, we will be giving away versions of Snagit as well if you are not using those. So again, just wanted to say thank you. Matt's not here today, but Matt Pierce has always been a big supporter of what we do here, and helping us talk through videos, and just being a great member of the community, hanging out with us. So so we definitely just want to say thank you to TechSmith and appreciate their engagement. And as we get more people involved and more people are coming online, we're starting to get a few more folks showing some interest in what we do here at TLDC, which is nice. And again, I just wanted to give a shout out to all of those folks in the chat who help us out every day or when they can. All of the volunteers. Of course, we love our regulars and our audience members that show up every day, but we know you all have jobs and that's not always possible. So we're here for you if you need us. That's just a quick shout out to Kara for helping us out, and Craig, who I didn't see here so far today. Maybe he did show up and had to leave. I'm not sure, but helping us out with some of the logistics and getting some capturing links and getting them to the website and everything that needs to go on behind the scenes. And of course, speaking of behind the scenes in this work as a community, despite everything that we all do on a volunteer basis, there are elements of what we do that take some funds, that take a little bit of money, take some cash, take some dinero. And so while currently it comes out of select pockets here and there, we would appreciate a little bit of help. And so we just like to think of it as, hey, you know what? If you feel like you're getting some value from what we do here, if every day when you show up, you're learning a little something new, or you're, able to relax amongst peers and colleagues and just enjoy the conversation, and that's valuable to you, maybe just give a little value back and help us keep this going. It doesn't have to be a lot. It absolutely doesn't. Just every little bit helps. And if you are already one of our givers or our donators or contributors, I think is the word I'm looking for, or if that's just not how you roll, please feel free to just share. Sharing is value as well, and telling your friends about it, and bringing a friend. Telling a friend about the great conversations we have here and the great colleagues you can meet in this space, in this community, I think is that in and of itself, bringing a friend has a lot of value to it as well. So anything you can do to help give back to the community will also make the experience richer for you as well. So we appreciate all that you do, everybody in the community, and love that you're here. It's fun to meet everybody on a daily basis. I personally, for me, 8 o'clock every morning is a great time for me to get kind of the day started and to get the brain, as we're talking about the brain, started for the week, and knowing that everybody else is out there doing the work and that we're all immediately getting some value. Or for those of you over in Europe, at the end of your day, maybe wrapping up your day with some conversation with some friends and colleagues is fantastic as well. So again, we appreciate it. And let's get back to our guest today, Hans de Graf and Sam Rogers, who's hanging out with us asking questions too. All right, so we're back in action. So did you see anything interesting that you wanted to respond to in the chat, Hans?
There is a lot of discussion of music albums and DC comic books and things.
What? We're off topic?
Music is also important for the brain.
It is.
Let's wrap up. I talked about Ebbinghaus and that you forget so very fast. So relevance is important. And what we try to do with those weekly reinforcement videos of under 2 minutes is to give repetition. And because there are questions in the video, your brain is also put to work, because we always talk about multimedia and video as if it's the philosopher's stone. But when you look at video, wait a minute, I'm going to take my phone. This is the interaction with a video normally.
Right.
And by asking questions, it can be multiple choice questions or reflective questions. At least you put the brain to work. For example, a question, how can you apply this in your work tomorrow? How can you apply this to your customers? Only by asking that question is making learning easier. because once again, not once again, it's the first time I'm telling this, because when you want to beat the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, the solution is repetition over time, so spaced repetition, and most preferably with questions, and the best questions to use are open questions. So multiple choice, like in this video, work, but even better would be open questions to put your brain at work, and when you remember things, you make new connections and also are learning. A final thing about this project is we send them on a weekly basis by email. And that's because we use XAPI, Experience API, or also known as Tin Can. And with XAPI, it's possible to put learning content like an interactive video outside your learning management system. So, in my opinion, it makes no sense to put a 2-minute video out there if people also have to log in a corporate system, which takes the same time or even longer.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to this particular project in retail, you have many more opening hours than people are at work. So lots of the people receiving the email are not at work at the time they get the email. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you send to, let's say, 500 people, 2 or 250 are not at work at all. And the strange thing is, because we filmed in not in a setup at the head office. So what you see in this video is a real employee. You can go to her this afternoon from a Scapino store in the Netherlands.
Okay.
The customer, that's the customer you see in the video. That's how do you call that? An actor. And because it's our real stores, real colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
and real situations that can happen to everybody in the store, well, basically that gives the relevance to for this type of viewer. That's at least our experience. What we did finally is we used a tool called hiaho.com. You can see it in the player if you play the video, and you can make a free account. I would suggest you give it a try. You can set up a free account, and it's there are several tools out there, but Hiaho is specifically targeted for learning. So the interface is a timeline interface, and it's so simple. You can make your video. I think. Well, let's have a look at the chat again. To the intelligence, but I think you can do it with under 10 minutes.
Yeah, we got this one's 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, what I mean is when you have a video online on YouTube or Vimeo or something to try with, and you make a free account, you can start right away, and within 10 minutes you have added 2 questions and a jump and all that kind of things. It's a very easy interface to put an interactive layer on top of your video.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, from the brain point of view, by adding that interactivity, for example, connections to content, you are saying something, and then a button appears that people can click on it and go to the source material for further study. Well, that kind of things. Scenarios, multiple choice questions, open questions. Well, when you add interactivity to a video and you can track the results, so what answers are given, how long did they look, what exactly did they have a look at, then in the end, a video can be the online learning module instead of just a part of it. But I'm curious, Sam, how do you think about that? So the evolution of video from being a part of an online course to being the online course.
Yeah, well,
how far are we?
I think providing the more interactions, the more kind of points of interactivity that we create in a video as a user experience, besides just passively watching it like we would on a movie screen or a television screen, I think the better, because we have more points at which to measure regardless of even what that may do to drive engagement, we have more that we can know about how people are interacting. And I think your use of XAPI to be able to track the video being delivered completely outside of the traditional kind of learning management system, or even a video platform, you know, to be able to create a user experience that is less friction, such as coming in email, and us still being able to know what we want to know about the user and how they're interacting with it, even without getting to the conversation of engagement. We simply have more data that we can look at. So I think it's extremely valuable. And the tool that you're mentioning, Hihaho, I haven't had the chance to work with any clients or anything like that, but just in the little demo account and stuff that I made, it certainly was very easy to create some kind of pause points and ask questions. You know, coming from the YouTube end of things, as I have, it's possible to create overlays and things like that, but not anything that pauses the video and really enforces that interaction. So things can still just play on by, and it's up to you to pause it. Same with Vimeo. So yeah, there's Hihaho. There's a couple other providers as well that do similar kinds of things, which are good. But yeah, for learning purposes, to create that relevance just simply with a question that allows people to link it back to their own experience. I would love to do more projects that are like that get to do more of that kind of work, which I think intuitively we all know is going to be better. And I'd love to put some real data behind all that.
Yeah, and I always say, when I come back to what I said, one topic, one video. When you connect videos with interactivity, for example, you have 5 short videos around the topic, and you can interconnect them with buttons and that kind of things with interactive videos. And from that, you can jump as a viewer to other major topics with their own set of small videos. Compare it to a cooking course. You see a video, a magnificent recipe, and then the video says, now you have to caramelize the onions, I think you call it. We say fruit de uitjes.
Yes, same
caramelize
thing.
The onions, fruit de uitjes. So for one viewer, it's obvious what he has to do. For another viewer, like me, I don't know how to caramelize the onions.
Right.
So you can make connection to prior knowledge that isn't there with a button. Click here to see how to caramelize the onions. You click on it. The original video you're looking at pauses. And another short video about how to caramelize the onions starts playing.
Yeah,
so,
no, I think
with the interactive possibilities, it also makes more sense to make shorter videos. And then I always say, well, when you have short videos for learning, maybe you can reuse them in performance support, or maybe even in customer support, because you have one topic in one video,
right?
And you make 15 videos in your original course, and maybe a few of them are also suitable to put on your consumer website, because they are basically also answering a customer question.
Yeah, it makes updates much easier as well when you're working in small.
That too.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I talked to a company. I cannot mention the name right now, but what they said, well, we have a lot of videos on computer software, and sometimes a new version is almost the same, but there's a small difference. And now we make a completely new video. And when we have small changes, we don't make a new video. We only skip some parts, or maybe do an overlay of a new screen of a picture. So they don't reproduce the video. They add some text. Attention, OneDrive is now called SkyDrive, or the other way around.
Right.
The other way around, right? So don't produce a new video, just in the interactive layer, give some extra information what has changed since the video was made.
Yeah, much easier to make those edits.
Yeah. But that are all side effects of interactive video. My most important point is, for learning, you want, well, to get your content stick in other people's brain. So make it relevant and put that brain to work by asking questions, basically. That's the best way.
Awesome. Hey, you know what? We're hitting up right on the 9 o'clock hour, so we have to wrap it up. I always love this conversation, Hans. Thanks for hanging out with us and talking about brain and video today.
I'd love to.
Let's do it again sometime for sure. Why don't you give us tell us, we've got your website up here. It's hansdegraf.info for those of you that want to check out the website. But are there any other places where people can find you on the internet?
Yeah, I got a small website where you can download the video learning principles. It's a PDF, but I'm looking for the link right now.
Yeah, that's fine. You just go ahead and pop that into the chat.
Just you keep on talking. I'm going to look for the
Great.
for the link.
Yeah, that sounds good. And by the way, even when we're done being live here on video, the chat window stays open, so you can still stay on this page and you can continue to talk with everybody in the chat if you want to catch up with them. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with us, Sam. What's happening?
Well, you can find me at snapsynapse.com or snapsynapse any place you care to look. It looks like we're taking next Monday off for the American holiday, Memorial Day. So we will not be here next Monday, but every other day next week. Looking good, Brent?
Yep, so far so good, except for I won't be here again Wednesday and Thursday. I got a last minute travel now, headed out to California. So
okay,
yeah. So we'll.
Headcast is keeping you busy.
Yeah. If you have those days open by any chance, Sam.
Perhaps. I'll check.
Yeah. We'll talk offline. We'll figure something out. I hear Luis has been doing a fantastic job filling in the gaps for us. So as much as he likes to be the man behind the curtain, it's always fun to have him jumping in and tagging Luis into the game.
Yeah. Luis did a fantastic job, and not just me. Luis can jump in anytime. Very well.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good for sure. All right, well, I'm going to close down the videos here and just do a little bit of wrapping up. A couple other news items I just wanted to do real quick again, and thank our sponsor, TechSmith, as well. But thanks, everybody. Thanks, guys, for hanging out today. Sam, thanks for jumping in and chatting with Hans with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, finally, for being on, Hans. Great to have you here. And are you doing anything in the U.S. anytime soon, by chance?
No, that's normally I always have things planned, but not at the moment.
Okay, well, we'll look for you online then.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we can interest you in coming out in January for TLDC in Phoenix.
In Phoenix, in your hometown.
In my hometown, absolutely. All right.
What's the temperature then, Brent?
Yeah, it's beautiful in January. Trust me, it's beautiful.
Okay.
Oh, Mark, come on! It is not 115 in January. Beautiful, beautiful 70 degrees. It's all good. All right, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and close out your videos here, but you will still be logged in. You will still be connected, and so you guys can continue to engage in the chat. I'm
going to put a link to the PDF. In a few minutes.
Yep.
I didn't find it, but I'm going to do that.
Perfect. Thanks again, Hans.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
See you, Sam. All right. Another great video Friday in the can, as they say. Before we go, just wanted to say thanks again to everybody for hanging out. Thank you for everybody for participating in the community. I do want to ask, I wanted to save this for the end of the show. Those of you that are kind of techie and want to get a good look at my new job, if you will, the company I work for is Edcast. And if you guys want to engage with me, I'm looking for some folks that will jump into. I have my own instance of the Edcast platform live now. I'm just going to get a few people involved with it and just kind of help me, test it out, go through just some of the development of it. I think a lot of the conversation today really applies. So I'd love to get some real honest, good feedback from you all as far as how the system works, and may even be able to use it as a platform for TLDC. But we're still working on that and seeing if it's going to be the right way to go or not. But anyways, just a few testers would be great. But yeah, we had a great time at Burson, and it was just really interesting to see how many people were excited about moving away from their LMSs or just integrating their LMSs with a tool like Edcast. So lots of exciting stuff moving in that direction. So I just wanted to give that a shout out real quick, and you guys hit me up offline when we do that. But again, also want to say once again, thank you so much to TechSmith for just being our sponsor and for helping us out, and just being so highly engaged and appreciative of what we do here, and helping add the value, right? I mean, that's what we're all about here, making sure you guys all get better at what you do, and sharing your knowledge with us is great. But having some of the pros also jumping in and sponsoring us and going deeper into what they do and showing us some of the details is fantastic as well. So we really appreciate those sponsors who go the extra mile and help us out with TLDC. We certainly could not do it without you. So again, appreciate all of you and all of your help. And hey, it's Friday and we got a long weekend. So like Sam said, we're going to be going dark on Monday. So spread the word. We'll let everybody know that Monday we will not be here. You can certainly log in if you want to, but I won't be here. And so we'll see how next week goes, but definitely looking forward to it. I think we have some guests lined up, but I don't know them right off the top of my head. But no learning style conversations, I'm fairly certain. But anyways, we're 5 minutes after. I'm going long. Everybody have a great weekend. Again, hit me up offline at bschlenker, BSCHLENKER on Twitter. The same just about any place else, or if you just Google my name, Brent Schlenker, online, you'll find all sorts of ways to get connected with me. So thanks again to everybody. Appreciate it. I did not get a chance to engage in the chat as much as I wanted to, but thanks everybody for hanging out there. Everybody have a great weekend. Oh, there we go. Hans has the link in there. Perfect. Mike, you're an hour behind. What's up? You got your clock time, clock set wrong or something? Maybe we'll do a second show starting right now with you, Mike. How about that? We'll do the Mike show. It might be good. Maybe everybody's got meetings to go to, though. I know I got a bunch of stuff to do, so yeah, I'm dragging this out way too long. Thanks again, everybody. You're awesome. We'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend.